I don't know how to start, so I'll just get into it. I was watching Vegan Boobity's video recently. Well, she names it clickbaity things, which is a good thing, I think, because that reaches more people, and definitely the people who are like fragile about non-veganism, I guess. Some things happened in that video which are interesting, and I think they just reminded me of like why veganism will win eventually. I've already written about this elsewhere, but interesting the things in that video. There was a guy shouting at the activists. For some reason, these farmers have a habit of doing this. Animal harmers, I mean. They for some reason don't like being confronted with the reality of what they are doing. Like, rational and honest people would admit to their wrongdoings, like I have in my past. Yeah, I'm not clean, but the point is that I came out of that reflecting on what I did wrong and developed a strong heart because of it. Because I wanted to put things right. But these farmers don't seem to want to do that, and it leads to question, do they have other intentions besides shouting at activists? And it's kind of like suspicious. And there are lots of people like this anyway, just in public, like they follow the herd mentality and social pressure maybe. Basically, if you're not like the norm, then you're just bound to be ridiculed and stuff like that. Even like, it happens to me even though I'm very well supported in terms of vegan options. Anyway, the guy goes on to shout about how you can't have blueberry farms in Australia. What? Even if we can't grow them there, that's not a problem, exactly. Like, most fruits and vegetables have to be imported anyway. Because our climates can't support it, or maybe it's cheaper, I don't know. It's not about sustainability or environmental things, even though those are important. It's about the ethical claims, like what it does to animals and things like that. And you can make an ethical argument from the environmental perspective. It just depends on the moral value of it. It is billions of animals worth. Like, my mind's come back. So, like, say we cause more environmental destruction, which harms about, I don't know, 100 animals, thousands maybe. But we get to stop millions of animals from being farmed and harmed for that. Maybe there's a few human rights violations actually in the no animals being farmed. I think that's more favourable, because you kind of have to address things step by step anyway, as we have done in history. I think everyone's rights were granted, like, eventually, because truth prevails. And I'll mention that at the end again. Another funny thing about this guy shouting at them was he was making a scene in public. But yeah, he's just making a scene and then he just asks them not to record him. What? You don't want to be recorded for the public to see, but you don't mind making a scene in front of the public where people are looking at you and listening, probably. What a weird double standard. I've never heard anything like that, I don't think. But if anything, I think that means that we're doing something right. Because he's not confronting his wrongdoings, he's actually trying to point out wrongdoings that I guess vegans have, like it's really dumb. And I think the people who actually call people stupid are actually the dumbest ones there. I've thought about this a lot in my time of being socially isolated. There really isn't such thing as stupidity, but if anything, when you lack knowledge or intelligence, that's when you end up making mistakes and childish insults and, just breaking. Very few people would recognise that. I see it a lot on things outside of veganism anyway. Like, I guess I could say like paedophile hunters. Like people who think that the people who get caught are stupid don't understand the severity of the situation, because there's more to it than that. Like what that person's been through. Obviously they have paedophilic disorder, probably. There's different things like that, and desperation, that's another factor. Also a lack of love that tends to lead to those sort of actions, I think. And just being undesirable as a partner, I guess. Even though that's probably false, because you have to get to know the person. It's interesting where these things lead, and like when you get it down to the T, when you process all this, things you call stupid probably come from misunderstanding. A misunderstanding of your own, I mean. That's why I think, like, the vegans are winning. That is just so obvious, really. Because it is a smart position. Like, smart people would take the position because, well, if they're honest and rational, their reason. It's easy to follow it, easy to understand. But people who reject it won't understand clearly. Also, if they're like, they follow biases, obviously they're going to run into issues there. They can't justify the things they do. But they'll instead try to find things to throw at others. Like, it's definitely the equivalent of like lynching, I guess. Anyone you think is wrong, you just want to hurt, which isn't really a sign of love, and that kind of sucks. I think when you don't come from a place of like love or peace, you just end up hurting others, and that makes the world shitty. That's the other thing, snowflakes. So I was reminded recently that I'm actually quite sensitive in many ways, like not just sensory issues. But I think a lot of my traumas and my childhood sort of like built me up to be sort of weak. Even though I can be strong, I think those things still get to me. It makes me wonder, like, how many people have actually been called snowflake because they show that sensitivity. It's just interesting because it isn't something I can help really because of autism. But it sounds like when people use it against you, it means that they are weak instead. So, like, you turn it on them, like with the stupidity thing. It just gets more obvious the more you think about it. The other thing that happened in that video was people calling non-animal abusers wankers, which is, again, weird. It's like the bias thing again. You want to be right in your position, but you don't know how to, so you just resort to something that makes no sense and doesn't accomplish anything. That's also something to look out for as well, with what your actions are. What do you hope to accomplish? Like me making this, I think I'm hoping to accomplish like changing people's minds, and maybe hearts. I don't know. But it's like doing something because it's better than just insulting people, and it always hurts to see that in the vegan community. R/vegan circle jerk can always have a sort of strong negative agenda against them. Problem is they don't come from a place of understanding or even heart. And because of how strict they are, and how dumb their ideas are actually, as I've debated them many times, they don't try to accomplish anything good. It just gets you thinking, like, these people probably aren't actually vegan because they're not actually doing something for the animals. If anything, they're doing something against. There's the exact stereotype, I guess, that people dislike. And the things they advocate for obviously just go against veganism as a whole. So yeah, the people who call non-animal abuse as wankers are just, I guess, more fragile. Their position is obviously wrong, but they don't want to admit that, so they'll try to criticise you for something. It's just crazy to think about. Another way to put it, I guess, is like insults often mean something is wrong with that person, I guess. Again, it goes to processing everything in that. The sentence has weight, but oftentimes the weight is on the person who said it, it's not the person that's being used against. I have to say it because it's goddamn important in a world where inherent traits are discriminated against. Even people who make death threats and want, I guess, paedophiles to suffer. Like these people are the types of people who don't want to understand because it sort of conveniences them. I don't know the word. It'd be inconvenient to admit they're wrong, basically. So they just want to make themselves feel good and not actually accomplish anything. And again, if like, history has taught us something, doing these things that we know that are old, don't work. No amount of coercion, I think, can change someone. In the end, it takes like getting into someone to reach like deep down into memories, maybe trauma, and then you could maybe change someone for the better, redirect that frustration or depression. I don't know. I've got a far different message in terms of what people do as like quote unquote criminal acts. And also on that topic, vegans are often treated like criminals because of the disruptive activism. And to that I have to say, I want disruptive activism, even if it makes me uncomfortable. Yeah, I hate the shouting, but I think at the end of the day, what matters to me is what the message is. It's like, don't shoot the messenger. It's exactly that. You have to hear them out, otherwise you're just plain ignorant and you're harming others. And like censoring free speech as well. Obviously that's bad. A lot of people are actually trying to do that online now, and that's gonna come back and bite them, obviously. And that leads to the final thing. It's like why I think veganism will win. The truth prevails as usual, and love is a powerful force. Probably more powerful than knowledge, I guess. But with the truth there, with animals is about if you think that they have all these traits. And I sort of need to think about this still, but considering animals are quite close to us in all these traits, like resembling like a child or a very special needs person, I guess. I think that makes them really vulnerable. And of course that means that we should protect them, because they don't know better, obviously. But at the same time that they're here. They're here to live with us. As a result, can we call them people? Like a vegan booty referred to them as a person. It's definitely something I need to think about before I actually start saying it. Animals do have personalities, and person is in the word there. So it actually makes sense to call them people in that sense. I'm willing to be proven wrong. It comes down to the accomplishment thing again. Like what I'm trying to accomplish and what vegan booty is by saying animals are people. To say that they're like us and they deserve a lot of love and respect just as much as we do. Because these are inherent traits that they have, and you can't really remove them. Yeah. Until you remove sentience, you can't treat animals the way that we do. I mean, non-vegans. Vegans treat them well, obviously. But that truth can never be denied, and I think that's why most movements have succeeded. Even atheist movement, I guess you could call it. Like it started when science happened, and when that expanded, it began to make people think about how can you prove that there's a God? How can you prove religion? And you actually can't. That's the truth. It's either beyond comprehension or there just isn't any demonstrable evidence for it. It's one of those things, and we can't make up our minds. So we're all connected in some way. I think that's like a big reason why you can't commit atrocities against people anymore, which is obviously a good thing. Yeah, just truth prevails. Veganism will win, there's no denying that. And people may drop off the train, and actually we may even see the movement just like disappear, maybe. I don't know, like go to a downward spiral. But at the end of the day, you can't deny that animals think and feel and have personalities. Because if you do, that's like taking away something that they have, that we can't change, and obviously they can't change. And when you look at the similarities between them and children, you can see them so clearly. When you're holding an animal, you're holding a child. There's no difference. But I think animals definitely have the worst situation to be in, which reminds me of why I went vegan a few years ago. I made that connection empathetically. Like there's no human suffering we can equate to what animals go through. But there's no human situation where that happens. It's just like, wow. I literally cannot justify what we do to animals. And I just realised that I'm wrong to use animals, especially for a trivial purpose anyway. There's no excuse to use them. And given they can't consent either, and what we do to them is in their best interest, it just makes no sense why they're used. I think the reason why rights are so behind for animals is because I think people don't make that connection. Because when people do, they obviously can't deny it, and that'll get to them. There's just a guilt factor, I guess, with most actions. Like I keep saying, actions have consequences, because they almost certainly do, but some are worse than others. It's about minimising those consequences at the end of the day. Not just towards animals, but all life as a whole.